Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Therapist Take. In this episode, we're going to talk about 5 things that therapists wish that other people knew about them. So don't go anywhere. Hey, Carrie.
Hi, Josh.
You got a lot going on today?
A little bit.
Yeah,
How about
me-
you? Yeah.
A ton.
We just
It's a long
talked
day.
about our day and
I know. I'm trying not to breathe hard.
try to get your. We need some box breathing here
Everybody
so we
just
can
heard
kind
you
of
do
come
that.
back to. I know. I know.
We had a good experience last week with Kelly
Yeah.
on the topic that we did, and I think immediately after we got done, we were talking about that was a nice one to do because we've been doing a lot of really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And then we've even had some feedback from others saying that it was nice to get some lighthearted topics.
Mm-hmm.
And so we decided to do another one before we dive back into really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do 5 things that therapists wish other people knew about them. And
Yeah.
now there's a lot more things I'm
Right,
sure that we could
right.
come up with.
Right.
But these are 5 that we've talked about before, or had
Mm-hmm.
like kind of off the cuff conversations
Oh,
about,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before, so that's what we're going to get into today. Before we do that, just want to remind everybody to please go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, like the video to help the algorithms. If you like the content that we're putting out, we really appreciate the likes and the subscribes and the sharing. It really helps, and it gets more of our content out to people. So, but if you're listening to this on the podcast platforms, please stop what you're doing just for half a second and go give us a 5-star review, and then come back and continuing listening. I was going to get your thoughts on like are we talking faster now? Do we still need to do 1.25?
All right. I'll try to listen just to give you that advice
Yeah.
after.
Well, the
I
best
don't know.
cadence.
Are we just therapists when we're in this space? Do we just talk slower
I think we're just
than
from
other people?
Oklahoma.
I know. I don't know if I talk. I don't know. I need to ask my friends if I talk slow. I need
Yeah,
to-
well, I have a friend that listens from New York,
Okay.
and he's like, when he talks to me on the phone, he's like, it's so weird talking to you because I'm so used to listening to you at 1.25.
So that is a nice way of saying hurry up.
Yeah, I think it's a nice way
Move
of
it
saying
along.
you really do talk slow. All right, so we're doing it a little bit differently today. We aren't going to do an episode breakdown today because we're just going to jump into these 5 things. And
Okay.
so there's really no reason to do that because we'd be giving away the farm if we did
That's
that. So
right.
we want you to
I'm
be
not gonna do
surprised.
that.
Right. Okay, so
Okay.
the first thing that we wish people knew about us is that we are not analyzing you at parties or other social events, right? Or maybe we are.
We talk about this a lot as a
Yeah.
staff, right? Together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How true is that for you?
Very true. We're really
Yeah.
not. I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's an exceptional thing that stands out that
Right.
I feel like I can't unsee, but I don't know that I'm
Yeah.
seeing something that everybody else isn't. I mean, I know that for a lot of my close friends,
Mm-hmm.
I will say a lot of times like, "Oh, I don't want to be at work right now."
Oh,
So I'm just
Right.
gonna be a person,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I have one dear friend was telling me some stuff the other day. And she's like, "I'm sorry, you don't want to be at work." I'm like, "No, I'm just being your friend."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So so the answer, I mean, we are not, or hopefully we're not, right?
I don't think my therapist friends are.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
And I think it's to the degree that we are not being therapists while we're there. And so the whole analytical process that we go through as we're working with people is not happening when we are working, or when we are,
Freudian
mingling with our friends and family or just with random people, you know. But here's the thing that I think might make us a little bit different is that I always use like an example of like a horticulturalist, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
if you're somebody who has spent your life studying plants and plant life and those things are really important to you and you have a house full of them and you work in that industry or whatever, and you walk into someone's house who has a few plants, I think you're probably going to notice the plants, but you also might notice some things about the plants.
Maybe.
right?
That one needs more water.
Right,
Needs more
like
sunlight.
yeah, so this isn't growing like it should, or something's off,
Right.
or and some of those things might be things that regular people would notice too, and some things maybe not. You know, but are they, going into their work mind of analyzing that plan and testing that
Right.
plant
Right.
and
Treatment
really trying to figure out
solutions.
the real, they're not doing that, right?
Right.
But they might notice some things that other people might not. And I think
Right.
that is also true for therapists, that I think that we might notice some things relationally or about people or things
Yeah.
that others might not. But I think at the same time, it also might lend us, people might find that we have more compassion for that,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's true. I think I
or it
think
lends
probably
for
right. I
compassion.
pick up on things that maybe not everybody would.
Right. So, no, we're not analyzing you at parties
Right.
and to like we would in a therapy session or anything. But yes, we might notice some things that
Right.
other people may
Right.
ignore or
Right.
not pick up on. So,
Right. I hope people believe us, but we're doing a very therapist answer. We didn't give
yeah,
a binary answer. Not really, but
we're actually going to get to that
okay.
too
All
in just
right.
a little
Good.
bit too
Good.
about
Yeah.
that part. All right, so let's go to the second one.
Okay.
All right, therapists have therapists too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I like to talk about that too with clients about therapists going to therapy because I want it to be normalized, right? I want it to be something that
Right.
everyone can kind of feel like part of a collective of everybody trying to do their very best, right?
Right.
But therapists do have
Yeah.
therapists, right? And even part of our training model, right when we start in grad schools, we have to have an individual supervisor, right? And then it's very clear that your supervisor is not your therapist. But don't you think a lot of times supervision feels like therapy?
Of course.
And there
Yeah.
are some training programs that actually require you to do therapy in
Right.
addition to supervision
Yeah.
while you're going through that. And all of that is about helping you experience, right, what it's like to be in these very important intimate relationships and
Yeah.
develop a sense of self. I don't want to be working with a therapist who doesn't know themselves, right? That's you're going to get lower quality.
Right.
And so, like you said, therapists have therapists. Parentheses, they
Surprise.
should. Yeah.
They should, right? Yeah, because we experience the same things everybody else does,
Yep.
and something I tend to believe, and it's also true for I believe it's true for us. It's just kind of my worldview, is that if you have the luxury of having a professional career, so in other words, if your job or career is not just about putting food on the table, then you likely are selecting what you want
Right.
to do, and I think there's going to be some pathology in that, to
No.
varying degrees.
Not for therapists, but go ahead. You had my
And
sarcasm.
you're proving my point.
I know, exactly. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Right. So why does the therapist become a therapist? Right. And we kind of often joke that we work with other people's problems because we don't want to work on our own. It's
And
just
like
easier that
anything,
way.
the best jokes have some truth to
A
them,
little,
right? Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
A little bit
Do
of
you
truth.
remember when your supervisor asked you why you wanted to be a therapist?
Why when
Did you have that experience early in your career?
my supervisor?
Yeah.
I think in grad school.
Yeah.
But my professor ended up being my supervisor.
Yeah.
So
Me too. Same thing.
yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
Does your
And-
answer the same then as it is now?
Yeah, because I do get asked that. Do you still get asked that now?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I think the reason I'm a therapist now is different than what motivated me then. But I think my answer for why I became a
Okay.
therapist
Oh,
is
okay.
the same, but why I'm still a therapist is not. I don't
Not
think
the
it's the
same.
same. Yeah, it's not the
Okay,
same
that's
motive.
interesting. I like that.
Yeah. So, right. Yeah, I was thinking about it because I was asked that question recently. And I was thinking about how did I answer that, and
Back then, yeah.
yeah, I think it's really the way I usually answer it is in kind of story narrative format.
I kind of tell it that way too.
Yeah, it's like this is where I was, and this is what's going on in my life, and then this is who came into my life, and I thought this would be a good idea. I was like, become a therapist.
I know.
Do you remember feeling like kind of a bit of a gut punch when you're like, "What? I can't help my family." I can't.
No.
I remember that.
No, I remember not wanting to help my family.
Let's face it, Carrie, they don't need it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. No, it felt like I could go help other people. That felt good. That felt healing, right?
Yeah, but I think to me it wasn't like I was thinking like my family's so messed up and I come to do this to help them. But I was like, you mean I can't like
You can't be your own
if something
family's
happens, I
therapist?
can't. They're like because think about how we do that in our everyday life, right? If we're like, well, my uncle's a mechanic. I think I'll just take my car to him,
You wouldn't
right?
believe
Because I
how
can
many
trust
times
him.
I say, "Gosh, someone in this family used to be a mechanic."
We digress.
No, but I mean it's similar to what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it's always a little disheartening when I have to tell family members like or friends or sometimes
Yeah.
people will be like
Yeah.
that I think I need to do therapy,
Yeah.
but I would only really be comfortable if it was you.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense to them in the moment, but they just often haven't experienced therapy, so they don't realize how uncomfortable that would eventually get.
Right.
But it's like, it's like I can't see you. Sorry.
I know.
I can't help you.
Can't help you.
Yeah, I can guide you.
No, I
That's
can
about
tell
it.
you
I can
some
steer
really
you.
great people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we know eventually is better for
Is
them,
better for
right?
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3. We are not professional advice givers. I was just having this conversation with someone last night.
Oh, really?
That's the
Okay.
reason why I put it on there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was fresh.
Right. He's like, so people go to you and they give you, and you just give them advice and they pay you for them. Like, and Devin was there too, and who's one of our therapists here, and he was there with me. And at the same, almost
Did y'all?
simultaneously, we both say we do not give advice.
I love
And
it.
he was like, what? Then why? I think it's like, then why do people go to you?
Then what are you
Then
doing?
why do you? It's like, well, your friends can give you advice,
Yeah.
or your preachers, or your mentors,
Right. Or your family
right.
members.
It's
Yeah.
like that's what they're for,
Yeah.
So what are we if we're not advice givers?
I know. Boy, I remember that being like, it feels like in my memory, of course, you know what that means.
Yeah.
It feels like that was day one of grad school. You are not an advice giver.
Right.
And then like the whole group discussion
Yeah.
about it, right? So what that means to me is we don't tell people what to do. I don't know about you, but you can probably believe this about me, is that if someone just tells me to do something, I'm probably going to have a very resistant urge to not do what you're telling me to
Did not
do.
know that about you. Yeah,
If you suggest or process through with me, I'm on board,
Yeah.
right? We're collaborators. So I
Well-
say that silly about me, but I think in general, there are some humans
Yeah.
that like advice and they like, being following the next step. But most of the time, especially if you're trained like we are, it's not about doing a thing, right?
Yeah. Well, something you may not know about me.
Oh boy.
Is
Okay,
that when
surprise
someone
me.
gives me advice, I'm like, is this going to make them happy? Because you tell me when.
You forgot
I'll
about
do
you
it.
in that suggestion there,
yeah.
Josh. Yeah.
Oh, I'm the perfect person to give advice to.
Maybe
Because I'll do it.
Maybe we know
I'll
why
do
we're
it.
sitting here right now.
That's why I like is if you don't have if you're like me and you don't have that self-awareness that you do that,
You're in
then
trouble.
and you
Yeah.
surround yourself with a bad advice giver.
Yep.
Not a good combination.
That sounds like a path of destruction. Yeah. I think to be fair, and this is maybe getting a little bit technical, but I mean, I think we do give advice, we give guidance, but the treatment model that we use is not about you come and ask me what to do and I tell you and you give me money. The treatment model that we have is there are going to be times I am going to guide you. I am going to share what research says, and I'm going to say, this sounds like this would be helpful. But it's built into a model of what's going on with them,
Right.
what's their diagnosis, what's the what's the level of trauma, crisis response, what's
Right.
their level of distress tolerance, right? So when people come in crisis, we're going to say things like, I think it's time to prioritize sleep. Let's talk
Right.
about that, right?
Yeah.
Or you've done a lot of things. Let's add meditation to your self-care regimen, right? Whatever it is, right? And I guess that sounds like advice, but it's, I guess, taking one little piece out of a treatment plan when we're looking at it systemically, right?
I think anybody that's done therapy for for more than 5 sessions would never refer to us as advice givers.
I think that's true.
Okay, so we are not professional advice givers. Is the third one, and moving on to the fourth one. And you said this. I don't know if you caught yourself when you were giving an answer to something a few minutes
On the
ago,
first
and you
one.
said it that we are humans
Yes.
too. And what
Yes.
does that mean? That we're humans too. So we kind of did tackle that a little bit in the sense of that we have therapists.
Yes.
We're not at parties psychoanalyzing people. We're being humans there.
Right.
But when I added this one to our list,
Yeah.
I think what I wanted to really capture with it is really like we're humans in that therapy room
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
We have bad days. We're just like in any other profession. Some days we're not on our game. We're not on top of our game,
Yeah.
and we make a mistake. Or let something slip through the cracks that
Yeah,
we like. Oh
forget to
no, I forgot to
oh,
do this
yeah.
thing, and
Well, and I think too, as therapists, one of the ways that we're human though is that we get emotionally invested.
yeah, that's
And
another one.
we want to take on things with and for our clients because we care. And so when we mess up, when we forget, or I feel bad when I'm sick and have to cancel. I feel
Yeah.
bad when something comes up last minute. I feel like I want to explain it. I feel like, I need to justify it. And
Right.
we have stuff that's going on in our lives. And
Yeah.
there have been, one of the things that tends to be the hardest for therapists is working with clients who have the same problems as them.
Right.
Right. And so sometimes you even have to say, I can't see these people for, it's too much. Right.
You're right. Yeah.
There's too much of what we call transference. Right.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so, but we are human and we
Yeah.
can't screen all of that from the
Exactly.
beginning. Right.
Yeah, and you talking about getting emotionally invested. We care, believe it or not, we care about our clients. That care the more we see, it's like any relationship, we really start
it
caring.
deepens.
And I have this kind of joke that I say, like I cry almost every day.
I know. It's one of my
I say
favorite things
almost
about
Monday,
you.
almost Tuesday,
Yeah.
almost Wednesday. It's like almost if I'm going to see 6 clients in a day, somewhere in that day, I'm going to feel tears. Now, they may not escape,
Fall, right.
but I'm going to feel the welling up of tears. We're human and we feel things. And do you ever find yourself getting angry for your
Oh
client?
my gosh, yes.
I do that a lot. Like
I call it a big sister mode, right? Because it's like very real. Like I have a
Yeah.
biological track of big sister,
right.
or as I call it, matriarch. It's nicer
Yeah.
than bossy big sister, but
Yeah.
that is probably more accurate. But yeah, for sure.
And so the fifth thing that we wished people knew about us is that there is such a thing as a therapist voice.
Oh, for sure.
And it is terribly hard to turn it off
It
sometimes.
is. It is.
Right? And so this voice that constantly exists inside our head, and we've had, Carrie's smiling over because we've had so many conversations about this. And I think in one of our episodes recently, you even said, like, man, our kids, like, it's got to be hard being a kid of a
I said to
therapist.
mine recently, like, I'm sorry. I know it is so hard to be my kid. My
And
kids,
we're laughing because, like, it
it's
could be
so
1,000
true.
different things.
I know
that-
1,000 different
right?
things.
And
Well, my
so-
kids, have no internal dialogue has been always my statement. So they'll be like,
Yeah.
Mom, oh my gosh, I know you're a therapist.
The other day I asked Liam, I was like, hey, like you, and of course I'm like, you could be honest with me, man. Like
Like you just did here in the podcast.
like, and he's like, and of course is like, now is he going to be honest or
Yeah.
is he going to be like I'm going to tell you something that's you're not going to want to hear, right?
Right.
And I'm like, because he's playing baseball and stuff, and I was like, I don't think I'm super skilled at like teaching people how to play the game, I was like, but I feel like I'm pretty good at helping coach through some of the psychological parts of it. It's like, the things I tell you to do, are they helpful? He's like, yeah, Dad, those are helpful. And I believed him.
Did you pat him on the head and say, good son?
Had a boy.
Attaboy. Thanks. You puff up a little bit.
Yeah. Did you hear that? His mom's sitting
Who
right there. Did you hear
someone
that?
needs to hear
I
this.
told you, babe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it is. It's hard to turn it off. I
Yeah.
think also, you mentioned earlier, like some people may have, something that feels like organic or natural about being a therapist. And
Yeah.
I think that you and I probably think that for ourselves as part of our story, right?
Yeah.
And so it's hard sometimes to know where that ends and the training begins,
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so like when we were talking about the first point about not analyzing at parties, right? And you're like, we couldn't even give a dichotomous answer. We couldn't say
Yeah,
yes or no,
I
you
know.
know, and that's like the example I often give to illustrate this is again with I think it was my son Liam. We were driving down the road once, and and of course he's watching all the cars pass, and he's probably 5 or 6 years old, and he's like, "Dad, are cars expensive?" And I immediately just go into, well, that depends, son. I'm like, depends on how much money you got and what car you're buying. So there's a lot of, I mean, so to some people, they are, but there are some cars that might not be expensive to those people too. And then I actually caught myself in that moment and I just go, yes, son, they're expensive.
One of those moments. I'm so
And
sorry, you're my
yeah,
kid. Yeah.
and I was like, gosh, why did I do that? Because it's that dang therapist
Yeah,
voice.
it's the hard to live in the binary for
Right.
us.
Because I think the reality is that everything's complex. Like if you
Yeah.
really think about it, like there's complexity to just about every situation, issue, or even just thing. Um, but if we're going to live functional lives, as much as I uh, don't like it when people say for as a defense mechanism, like, look, it's simple. I was
Yeah,
like, that'll
yeah.
turn me off as fast as, I mean, if you want me to stop listening to you in a serious conversation, go, look, Josh, it's simple. Because basically you're telling me that you're done with the conversation because you don't want to explore the complexities. But on that
With that
note,
being
we
said,
we do need to make some things simple just so we can function.
yeah, of course.
Like a conversation like that to a 6-year-old to say,
Yep,
"Yeah,
cars are
son,
expensive.
cars are expensive." It's not the same as going to McDonald's and buying a burger. It's costs a lot more
Yeah,
money to buy a car.
yeah,
A lot more goes into it,
yeah.
and it's difficult for me to do that.
Yeah,
So
I know. I know. It's a blessing and a curse, right? I mean,
yeah,
I want to be someone that helps people think about things in the gray.
yeah.
And I get exhausted with that too and just want to know.
All right.
Should I go to bed earlier or can I stay up if I'm really enjoying the
Yeah.
book I'm reading? You know?
I get jealous of people that
I know.
can be like just kind of unmoved by from their
Yeah.
convictions on certain things,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that when it's all said and done, I am glad I think the way I think
Yeah.
because I feel like when you realize there's a gray area, there's a lot of gray. It makes you more compassionate,
Yeah,
and
I
I
agree.
find a lot of value in that.
I do too. I agree.
But sometimes I just want to be like good person, bad person, bad
Right.
person, bad idea,
Yeah.
good idea,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
make everything dichotomous.
Yep. Simple.
Yeah,
Keep it simple, stupid.
keep it. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so those are 5 out of
Yeah.
a lot of other
lot
things.
more.
Yeah,
Right.
because guess what? We are very complex.
That's right.
So I appreciate people that that tune in and support our YouTube channel, our podcast, because it's because of that support that has allowed our content to get out to other people
That's
that
right.
have found value in it. But also, if you're listening to this or watching this, feel free to comment on what you thought about kind of the lightheartedness of this one, because this this is a little bit of a different turn for us, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we when we have been doing therapist take historically, we're typically trying to think of things that we can tackle. We often think of the people that we serve here,
Right. Right. Right.
and try to get useful information out there in that sense. But so I'd be interested to know on how people felt about kind of the more lighthearted things like
Right.
this one,
Yeah.
what we did with Kelly last week on the healing power of nature, which was that actually was a lot funner.
Funner.
So, okay.
Okay.
We might have to do one on words because I would never say funner.
Okay.
And then I have learned that this is kind of accepted now.
Okay.
And it doesn't surprise me that you have a problem with it, though.
Well, it's the same as the Oxford comma thing, right? Like I still use it.
The Oxford comma.
Yeah.
What's that?
You know you know how you do comma, comma, word, comma.
Yeah,
The last
yeah.
of the three, you don't have to do that second comma. That's the Oxford comma. I still use it.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
No,
right.
I'm not getting behind
You
that.
know why? These are our.
And you know what else?
What?
There's got to be 2 spaces in between
Amen. Amen.
your period and the
My
next
gosh,
sentence.
I agree. We are dating ourselves right now,
There-
big time. But this is just the
It's
way
2
it should
spaces.
be. Of course, it's two
I mean,
spaces.
the period is not enough.
No, you need another. My eyes need as much space as I can get to read.
What if you don't see it? It's just a dot. What if you don't see it? Then you think it's
It's a run-on sentence, and then you're really in grammar trouble.
I like those memes that are like the commas matter.
Yes, I love those too.
It's
Yeah.
like
Oh God, Josh, we have some nerd issues.
something like you ate grandma or something.
Yeah,
It's
yes.
I can't remember
I can't
which one
either,
it goes. Oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah.
So
maybe.
normally I would not say
Funner,
funner,
okay.
but the reason I've allowed myself to do it is because I was reading somewhere that this is now part of the English language, like it's accepted now. Kind of like what's that expression people say? Irregardless.
Oh yeah.
And irregardless is also considered the same thing as saying regardless.
Nails on the chalkboard.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
You know the one that does trip me up though is
What?
like I couldn't care less.
Yeah, no, that
or I
one-
could care less.
Yeah, I know that.
It's
That one
like
too.
which one was it? Like
Yeah.
I think it's couldn't,
Couldn't.
right? Yeah.
Meaning,
I
I
could
care
not
nothing.
care.
that
Right.
means I care nothing.
I'm at the end of my caring
Right.
rope. Like, there's no more to go.
That's
I
right.
could not
That's right.
care any less.
Yeah, that's
I
right. Mm-hmm.
got you. Okay, we digress.
Funner.
Yeah, fun stuff. So,
Funner stuff.
so we have some. I have some ideas that
Okay.
I've got to run by
What
Carrie
a surprise.
before I just spur them on you.
Good.
And but I'd be interested in hearing other people's thoughts on or just general topics that you want us to cover, questions that you'd like us to tackle, and we have some ideas for different guests to bring into. So,
Yeah.
but appreciate everybody tuning in. See you next time.